can edit. We can do what we want. We can start it up.
We can make this work, right?
Is this
bay.
really? Yeah. Did I really pick this as my outfit? Is this?
I didn't dress you, man.
Oh no!
And your wife didn't dress you.
I know.
So that leaves just you.
And I even asked her, like, "Hey, should I change before I go?" And she said,
"No, you look good."
Yeah. Thank you, baby. I appreciate you.
Yeah.
And we are here.
Yeah.
And we are talking about Krull.
Absolutely.
With
Mark Daratt.
Hey. Mark Daratt.
Yeah, I'm the old film rat.
I don't know about old, because if you're old, then I'm...
No.
I mean, it's not big of a gap, but it's...
When your wife comes to you and asks, have you checked into Medicaid yet?
I'm not saying she said that, but it's there.
You know.
So, Fanboy Junction fans, Fanboy Junction fan, however it is today, this is just kind of a fun talk about a movie that you picked.
I picked.
This is your fault.
That's right. It's my
fault. So we're
I'm
gonna lean it in on you.
I'm really, really sorry.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is we're going to start with your journey as a fanboy, because I've known you for 15, 10, 12, at least 15 years. We've known each other. Maybe not friends.
Yeah, it was just after the turn of the millennia. I think it was like 2000?
2003. Because I think
No. We started in the late 90s because Brett introduced us.
No. We knew each other from Short Ends.
From
Short Ends didn't start till about 2002, 2003.
Okay.
Because you were with Patsy Joyner.
Right.
Part of her production thing.
Right.
That's how we met.
That's how we met, yeah.
And then...
and then we went shooting up in the streets of San Antonio.
Yeah, that's where we did film.
Yeah.
He's very proud of his work. I have some cool fight scenes.
I'm very, very proud of a lot of the stuff we did. Yeah, it was... because it was guerrilla stuff. I mean, come on. I mean,
there is a looseness to that kind of genre where you just kind of like, hey, whatever, we're having fun.
It's just like, it's a period that it was exciting because I love film. I just love it. And,
well, you love acting.
Well, I do, and it's funny is the older I get, the more I look back and I say, well, have I done everything that I could have done? And I've done film, I've done stage, I've done musicals, I've done opera, I've done webisodes, I've done, and you get to a point, where you look back and you go, God, I'm tired. No,
too.
Yeah, but what really keeps everything fresh to me is you get to work with new people and you get to work with old friends and you get to work with reconnecting and we might work once every 10 years and you turn around and you go, oh yeah, that's great, yeah, and you just reconnect and you just go.
Yeah.
And it's almost as if the time apart just never existed, and it's like you just seemingly just fall right back into the flow of everything. And
yes.
That's it's amazing, and I love that aspect of acting. The business side is rough. Yes. The business side is rough and it's tough and it is mean.
I get depressed because luckily I didn't do a lot of auditions.
Right.
Because normally I knew I couldn't get any roles, so I would just write and direct the movies myself. I'll produce them and all that. Like when you're the boss, you can do whatever you want.
Right.
Cut for a second. This thing turned off. And probably because it was not recording. That is great.
Husband.
So when you actually produce and write and direct everything yourself, you can be whoever you want to be. I can cast myself as Batman. I can cast myself as anything. Anyway, so it was just kind of funny. I can remember like it's that whole thing. The roles you want that you really try at the audition, you don't get. But the one where you're like, oh, you want me to hump this chair? Okay.
Yeah,
and
the challenging roles.
You get that.
You get that. Yeah. How do I make this scene romantic? Yeah. Okay.
I want Shakespeare. No, I can be a demon, a zombie killer who humps chairs.
Yeah. And it's funny.
True
my
story.
very first zombie film, and I think my only zombie film was with Blaine.
Yeah.
I
remember that.
And
that was the first time we actually were on set. Talking,
yeah.
And it was the time where we got this weird, like, hey, we like each other.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because we're like singing dumb songs and doing nonsense. And then And then then you started doing. We started.
Well, yeah, back in those days, we were more like competitors with the same role, you know.
That too.
And so there was like this.
Yeah.
Do I really want to be friends with this guy?
Yeah.
You know.
You have that. Well, you do. You do have that thing because I think at the time I was 30 when I really started doing the short ends thing.
Right.
And the big thing for me at the time was I thought at the time, looking back, not so much, but I thought I'm finally an adult male. I can have adult male parts.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And then, I mean, not that I didn't have other adult male parts, but I could do adult male roles.
Right.
And then you come along and you're like, no, I'm actually the alpha adult male. And I get all the adult male roles. And I'm stuck like, okay, I guess I could be this guy.
Oh, God.
So it was interesting, because you do have that. Because I think later on there was a guy, he might get mad when I name him, but Michael Brule.
Yeah.
Years later that he and I became close.
Yeah.
When I was thinking about really stepping into the acting thing and then realized he was going to be my direct competition.
Yeah.
And he was already in and I was like, I'm not going to bother anymore.
He and I, we did a film together and I love this guy. I mean, he really is super good. And I haven't heard too much. I guess he's doing well in California or something.
He did the same thing I did,
and
fell in love, met a girl, got married, did the family dad life thing.
Oh, okay,
more power to him because that's what happens to people, adults. Anyway, so that's how we know each other.
Yeah,
and all that to say, all through all of those films, through all that time together, somehow it never came up that you are a fanboy.
I am. Yeah, it was through all the conversations, through all the years, you were stupefied to find out that I was a sort of a closet geek.
Well, and I think,
and I say that because in a nostalgic way.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm no offense to anybody out there, but yeah, I mean, I grew up in the '60s.
Yeah.
And I love the Adam West. I love all the George Reeves Supermans.
Yeah.
Okay, because they were playing on TV when I was a young boy.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, Mother has an 8mm film somewhere of me running around with a T-shirt that says Batman, and it's got the whole insignia of the TV show there, and then with a little towel tied around my neck, jumping off the couch, you know. Mm-hmm. And of course, we all did that, and then we fell in love with Spider-Man, and then Iron Man, and all the things that happened, and the Submariner, which is coming out, by the way. I think
eventually,
yeah. But and I had my own Submariner projector and everything. So as a kid, this was my childhood.
Yeah.
You know, these guys. And of course, Captain America is my first Avenger. And he has always been the man.
He's
the best. Yeah.
And if anybody who follows me knows I
and then it really cracked me up to find out that you had such a great love and great affection for that character. Yeah. And I was like, oh, damn it.
Well, and I think it's interesting to think about, like, so I've been what I would say out of the business.
Okay. Yeah.
Ish. Or at least away from San Antonio for about 11 years.
Right.
In that 11 years, the MCU was born.
Yeah.
And it has opened up, and I'm going to say the MCU, don't at me with the DCFU thing. Like, I'm just saying the popularity of that has propelled the superhero genre to the point of we can't keep this down. So fanboydom, geekdom, it's ingrained in the zeitgeist now. And I've talked about this on the previous iteration of the show, is like, when I was a kid, you didn't talk about it. You went to the comic book store, you went home, you read, and then if you found that buddy who was reading comics, then you and he went and talked about it. But you didn't openly talk about it.
No.
And so I think even as I got into the film, because Ryan and I met through film, and you know, as she got to know me, realizing like, you were this big dork, this big nerd, and I was like, we don't ever talk about it on set. It's not like, cut, do you like Batman or Superman? You know, you just don't do it.
You don't have that 8-year-old conversation. Right.
So but it still was like, we hung out socially so many times, and that it never was a thing. But I also think, again, it wasn't like, I mean, the last time I don't say last time, but in that era, we're talking about 2009 is when I moved away. So Dark Knight has just come out, but Iron Man has just come out, but it isn't the everyday that it is now. So not the, but yeah. So it was. I was surprised. I was shocked. I was happy that you were a fanboy because we were doing the previous iteration of the show and we were thinking about bringing you on, and then I got tired of that version and said forget it. But I said this is going to be the new version, so you're going to come play on this one.
Awesome.
So that is how this happened. Yeah. You became, and of course, this I'd like to say this is after the pandemic because I don't know when we're going to release these.
Right.
But we don't. Right. We've known each other. We hung out. We're not masking. I'm not even sure when this will come out. It'll be sometime between now and then. So good luck figuring out what day it is. But
it is before the apocalypse.
Yes. Somebody is still president. But so part of it was you were the first person I reached out to say, hey, this is the new version.
Right.
I want you to pick a movie and we're gonna talk about it.
Okay.
And the movie you picked was Krull.
Yeah.
And I found it interesting because I had just recently, within the last 6 months, I think I've watched bits and pieces of this.
Right. Okay.
Because the glaive is one of my favorite weapons.
Yes.
So it was like, yeah, we could talk about that.
Cool.
So then I had to find a DVD, which I did. And then,
I already had the DVD.
I think I may have at one time. No, I've never. Well, it is one of those.
It is an acquired taste because, as you remember, the movie came out and it was just a bomb.
Yes.
It just bombed at the box office. I mean, it was horrible. But it gathered this ether of fans. And I was a fan from the get-go, guys. Okay, I mean, I loved it. I saw it. I said, okay, great. This is something that I really enjoy. And it was something that it kind of surprised me when we talked about this film. Is you were keenly aware of it, keenly aware of its journey since 1983, which was the release date, and how it became into this ether of being some type of cult film. Whatever that process is.
Well, and I think what it's interesting to me to think about, like comic book movies. We went through 1978 Superman all the way to 95 Batman and Robin, and how some of those movies got big budgets and some of them didn't.
Right.
And the budget didn't make a difference as far as how good the movie was. The most part.
For the most part, yeah. And I guess in the journey through the film world, you could have, and there are great examples of this, like the original 1978 Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween, had a whole production value of, I think, like $350,000.
They had nothing. Filmed that movie in under 30 days.
Right. And most of that money went to Donald Pleasence.
Yeah.
Because he was an established actor. He was the only established actor in the film because Jamie Lee Curtis was an unknown factor.
Yes.
And so was everybody else. And that film went through the roof.
Yeah.
I mean, it scared the pants out of me when I saw that. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then by today's standards now, that movie is just so tame as far as horror and gore goes. I mean, it was more suspenseful than anything else, as I remember. But then again, you can have big budgets, big time stars attached to a film project, and it would just not work.
Yeah.
No matter how much money you threw at it.
Well, and I think that's what this film is, because watching this movie, doing research on this movie, a lot of it was thinking about like how many of those really bad sword and sandal movies were coming out at this time. You had a lot of good ones. You had a lot of bad ones. And I think one is this movie had a couple different challenges. One, it came out the same year as Return of the Jedi.
Yes.
So not winning.
Well, you take the George Lucas genre of films. So you 1980 was The Empire, 83 was Return, and then later you would get all the Indiana Jones movies, right?
Yeah.
And then So they were like, okay, you're top shelf and
Yeah.
we're not going to touch it, right? But then you started to get Battle Beyond the Stars or The
Yes.
Last Starfighter. You know, this film.
Somebody
Krull.
needs to pick that movie.
Yes, and by the way, there is a new remake, a reboot for Last Starfighter.
Please.
Okay, which I'm excited to. I can't wait.
Yeah. That has to be done.
So, yes, people, he is a geek. He really is a geek, and he knows all this stuff. So,
Just watched that movie a couple years ago.
yeah. Yeah, I think I have 2 copies of that movie somewhere. I don't know how. I think I have a VHS and a DVD, or a DVD and a Blu-ray, one of them. And but getting back to Krull, the thing about it for me was, it was when it first came out and I saw it in 1983. It was kind of a standard fantasy film,
Yeah.
and it had elements of Star Wars in there.
Yes.
And the storyline evolved somewhat formulaically, if I could use that term loosely.
It's a standard
It's a
sandal
standard.
film. It really is.
Yeah, it's. I don't want to say it's a trope, but it sort of tropes itself through. It, you know.
I think what it does is it tries to avoid the tropes by having such a mixture of fantasy and sci-fi.
Right.
That if you're not paying attention, you'll miss them.
You'll miss them. Yeah.
Like if you're 8 or 9 and you go see this movie, you miss all of them. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Because that was when I saw it in the theater too.
Yeah.
And was like, this is the coolest movie ever.
Yeah. I was sure. So it was, but I still enjoyed it, you know.
Yeah.
And I come back to it, you know, 25 years later, and I still enjoy the movie, you know, and it's part of my home collection, which I'm very proud to say. And it is one of the deals where, when you ask me, well, what film?
Yeah.
This was like right at the top of my cards. I'm going to play this card.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna see if he jumps on it. And when you did, I was like, cool, because you know we haven't talked.
Yeah. There's that the not knowledge of how much geek is actually in there.
Yeah, how much geek is in there?
It's deep, sir.
It
is deep.
It is deep. And then in the course of conversations from past fanboy conversations, and you know, hey, did you see this show and all this bit? And I said, oh yeah. And the subject matters and the depth of knowledge that you had was just like, whoa.
Yeah, it's
whoa.
Yeah, Ryan says if you could harness that ability to say something useful like the Bible or history.
Yeah,
and I'm like, well, comics is history, and my Bible.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah,
but no, so you love this movie.
I love the movie. Yeah.
Pick this movie,
and I picked it. Yeah.
Is there really a strong reason besides the love of this movie? Is there?
Okay. Number one, it's not very well written. Number two, it was over budget and way over budget because of the design and the reshoots and the hazardous stunts that are in the film that were done by the actual movie stars and not done by stunt. You know, so even though it's a primarily English film shot at Pinewood Studios, there's still an American connection.
Well, the lead is American.
Yeah,
it's just like everybody else is British, but
British.
Him.
Yeah, Ken Marshall.
Marshall.
Ken Marshall was the lead, and but still, it was like, oh my God, you know, you have Liam Neeson, you know, Bobby Coltrane, you know, they're right there on the cusp of becoming superstars.
Yes.
Alan Armstrong is another one.
Yeah.
And these guys would become really, really big in the 90s. And, you know, obviously Bobby would become Hagrid.
Yeah. Hagrid. And then we get Taken. And
yeah.
It is one of those movies where you go back and you go, wow, that guy was in this. And that guy's in this. And I know him because I've seen him in a dozen other things.
And one of the attributes of the film that really was amazing to me was its ensemble.
Yes.
Okay. So there was strength there in the ensemble. It wasn't really reliant on one or two actors to carry the story through. You know, there's just a lot of the sci-fi stuff that's in there that I like. You know, the Slayers are are there with their laser weapons and everything like that. But then you have the fantasy with the
lasers on horses. That was the weird, like, watching it now going, lasers on
the fire mares were really something.
Fire mares were interesting.
Yeah.
It is like, there's some movies I go back and watch that are older and go, like, the effects work. Like, the effects in this don't, with the exception of The Beast. They're not bad. The Beast is okay. But what I'm going to say is, this is one of those movies that, and we'll get to it later, you make it now, and you can really do the. I think I'm trying to think about how to say, like, I think the script scope, even though they had a big budget, they still limited that scope to do what they could, what they were able to do at the time.
Right.
Not by they weren't limited by their budget, but they were limited by what they could do at the time.
They had a really big budget for the day. Yeah.
But they like, CGI is not where it is. Stunts aren't there.
Yeah.
The costuming, because I watched a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, and the big thing is, like, all the stormtroopers, or whatever they're called, the Slayers. Very limited in their mobility, very limited what they can do with that stuff. The guy who played the Cyclops, he's literally blind in the makeup.
Yes.
And it's stuff like that where I go, now you wouldn't have that limitation.
No.
Now you could, the action could be, because watching Ken Marshall train.
Sure.
In the behind the scenes stuff, he's great.
Yeah. And that brings us to the point of the discussion, because you asked me, you said, okay, great. This is your film that you want to talk about.
Yeah.
Now, I want you to take it as if you are going to reboot.
Oh, we'll get there.
Okay.
We'll get there. Let's get there. We're almost there.
All right, we're almost there. I need a drink on this one.
So, Krull is, I've said this in the previous version, and I need to stop saying previous version, in the other season, whatever, is Krull is one of these movies that I like. I've been waiting to reintroduce to my son. All of my children, when they get to a certain age, like Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, Star Wars, this is one of those movies that I don't think I've introduced to any of my... I think Raven, my oldest, who's 23, I showed her this movie. I don't think I showed Rain, and I wanted to show Race, because I think, like, it's right up his alley.
Sure.
So when you brought it up, I was like, all right, I got to buy this, and we're going to watch it.
Right.
Couldn't be less interested.
Yeah.
But I think he was just being a butt. But it's just one of those
we
movies.
Love you, Race.
Yeah, but it is a movie that I've enjoyed, and it has come up, like Beastmaster. I know it's bad, but I still love watching it.
You gotta love it
because it's like, why is he ripped? Who cares? Like, whatever. What's the cape of? So it was fun to revisit. It was fun to watch, and it was,
it's a chapter of our lives.
Yes.
Okay, and this goes to the power of even films that are low budget or mediocre. They still make an impact with their audience.
Yes.
Okay, and this is what's really amazing to me. It's that impact. And for me, like I said, I loved the film when it came out in '83. When it was available on, I think it was VHS. I bought it.
Yeah.
And then I bought the DVD version, and I think I do have either a Blu-ray. I do know I have it streamed to one of my devices, so
yes,
I have a copy whenever there's an internet connection, because I do live in the country. And so it's one of those deals where it's like, it's a piece of our lives that we have kind of tucked in our pockets, and we enjoyed it at the time. And when it comes out and about again, people talk about it now. God, it's been like 37 years.
Don't do the math. You do the math, then I have to do the math, and we have to admit,
yeah. But it's been a while, and we come back to it, and it's just wow. And then just thinking about that period of filmmaking where, like you said earlier, there's no CGI, and you have to build everything.
Yes.
Okay. You have to instill, the particular sets and the particular buildings and the particular makeup for the Cyclops, and you have to get the horses to do things, and you have to get everything to line up just to get the shot.
And that is something I did find fascinating watching it, is that these aren't just like a little room. Like, they built castles.
Yeah.
And they used the James Bond studios.
Right.
Pinewood Studios. Because that was the biggest studio they could get. So it was just, again, like, they really thought this movie was going to be a franchise. They had the Krull 2 that they were working on. Ken Marshall thought this was going to launch him, and it rightfully should have. He was really good in the movie.
He was good, but he wasn't
uncharacteristically ripped for the time.
Yeah,
that was because there's a scene where his shirt's off and he's doing something. I'm like, dude, he's got the washboard.
Yeah,
and I was that wasn't common in the early '80s. Not till Van Damme comes out in the late '80s that everybody had to be ripped. So it was really like,
Stallone got ripped for his Rocky sequences,
but most of the lead actors just were not.
No, I mean it's just not something that that we.
But it did occur to me, especially like watching the commentary, and then he was one of these actors. They're like, no, let the stunt guy do it, and he'd be like, no, I got it. So the fall, the diving roll down the stairs, that's him.
That's him.
That's not it. So that's he's one of it's one of those times I go back and I go, this should have launched him, but its failure didn't allow him.
And it was a very the production process was just so difficult.
Yeah.
Okay, because you had people coming in and making changes at the last second. Changes to the script, changes to the set, changes to the costume, change. And it was such... You could see the effort trying to cover all the changes, but it bled through in the play.
Yeah.
When you watched it, when it unfolded in front of you. And it was like, ooh, I see a seam there, I see a seam here.
Yeah.
And it diminished the overall quality of the film, the overall quality direction in which the whole overall story arc was going to go. And this is where it falls into those trope traps.
Yes.
Because they were like, you could tell they boxed themselves into something, and then the only way out was to say, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And they literally said that about the gate, the glaive.
Yeah. You'll figure out how to use it.
You'll figure out how to use it.
You'll figure out how to find it.
And
try to get it.
I was like, I never caught that. Until when we were talking about this film again, and I watched it, and I was like, oh my God. Wow. That is a bad loose string on a scene that they try to sew back together.
Yeah. And
they never go back. They kind of lead you in a way of thinking, all right, I'll tell you about it later.
Yes.
The glaive. I'll tell you about how it works later.
Yeah.
But we never get there.
Yeah.
Instead, it's you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And off you go.
Well, and it's, you mentioned something about the mythology, about this heavily like King Arthur, not only the
right.
Because you think about like Star Wars is, as much as you want to compare this movie to Star Wars is also the heroic journey.
Yeah, there's elements of it, but you had like knights and castles and two opposing kings and kingdoms coming together. It was very troped in the Middle Ages. I mean, my God, Ken Marshall's costume looks like something out of Romeo and Juliet.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I say that in love endearing, but come on, it's not fantasy. Okay, it's Renaissance fair.
Yeah.
But you throw that against, say, the costume of a slayer.
Yeah.
And you go, whoa.
Yeah, it's
really visually diametrically opposed, because you're conflicted with what time period are we in as an audience member, and you have to suspend that in you. You have to say,
well, it's in the opening dialogue.
Yeah.
Is that Krull is not a land, it's a planet.
It's a planet. Yeah.
So when you get in your mindset of like, this isn't, you're not talking about like this is fantasy Earth. It's not Middle Earth, which is fantasy Earth. This is a completely different planet.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was interesting because it does open up with the castle coming in, very Star Wars. And I'm like, this is, you should have leaned here. Should have leaned in more into the sci-fi, less into the fantasy. And I think maybe, because it does, like I said, lasers on horses. Like if they flew in a castle and landed, why did they ride horses to the castle? I could see Colwyn and the good guys had horses, but why did they? do they have a horse stable in the castle that they're flying through space?
I don't know if the library flew, but yeah.
That was the one thing I was like, yeah, why do they have horses? Why don't they just have like hovercrafts or motorcycles or
they do the whole Flash Gordon thing,
yes.
rocket sleds or something.
Yes, yeah. So that was the one I was going, yeah.
But, and again, it goes to that diametrically opposing of time.
Yes.
Where, you do have the Renaissance Fair versus Star Wars, if I can use those terms loosely.
Yes.
And, and then you have the fantastical fantasy with the seer and the Cyclops. And you have elements of, there was a magician who constantly transformed into things that were just really fun to watch. And you kept going. And you somehow you're able to say it all works. They made it work, and it took off. Now, the one aspect that I loved about this film was the Black Forest, the castle that would vanish, and then the next day it would go to somewhere else, but nobody knew where it was going to go.
Yes. Which leads into the. I mean, it's a fantasy movie. It's like the quest. It's the Willow,
right.
Lord of the Rings. It's the quest,
right?
Save the cat with the quest,
right?
And so it is. You have this. Oh, we're gonna do this. Oh no, he stopped us. We're gonna try this. Oh, he stopped us. Oh, well, we're gonna do this. And our last effort is the mentor has to die so the hero can go out on his own.
Right.
It's that whole.
And again, that's a trope again where you lose your teacher. And then you're left to take those learnings and teachings and figure out how it goes into.
But unlike Obi-Wan, he taught him nothing.
No, he really didn't. He really
because I'm going to show you something here. You know this. I'm going to show. I'm hoping that if you're watching this, you know Krull, because we're not going to talk about the plot because you should know Krull. But this is the DVD. That's the glaive. It was on all the posters. It's in the title sequence.
Yeah.
He goes and finds it.
Yeah.
A la Excalibur.
Yeah.
Pulls it out of the lava, opens it, ties it on his belt, and not until an hour and 45 minutes into the movie does he use it. And he uses it to cut a hole in the wall. Mm-hmm. He uses it to battle the mean villain, and it doesn't work.
Yes.
It is not what kills the villain.
No.
So, not since Darth Maul has something been so predominantly displayed and done nothing for the movie besides provide a really cool thing. Visually, it's beautiful.
And there was toys made out of it and everything. And,
so that was something that made me laugh this time watching. It's like, it's everywhere. It's the main thing. Can you imagine if King Arthur had Excalibur and the first time he used it, or he just kept it on his hip the whole time and did nothing with it until the very end? So it was just very...
Tosses it back to the lake.
Yeah, cool.
Thanks, lady.
Yeah, it was worthless. Thanks for not helping.
Thanks. Okay.
So that was an aspect that I thought was funny. And not like knocking it, but I'd say this is that whole thing of like the technology.
Sure.
You didn't have Tron where he's just using frisbees.
Right.
Right. He really does and once he uses it, of course, it's very OP. It's overpowered. Like he flings it and it kills everything. He almost kills the beast. With it. Yeah. It's remote controlled. It is a very awesome weapon, and it is true. If he had pulled it out earlier, it'd have been like, okay, cool, let's keep going.
Well, it's almost as if why did Frodo and Samwise walk when they could have flew with the eagles, drop the ring over the volcano, and then go home?
Can you imagine if we'd walked? One of us would have died.
Yeah.
So, but no, I thought it was so. It just made me laugh this last time watching it, going. Because I think I texted you and clocked you or said because I was watching, I was like, it's an hour and 45 in before he does a single thing with it. But very cool looking.
It was great.
Great on the cover.
Yeah.
Great in the marketing. Great in the title. Great on the poster. Why not?
And I wanted one.
Mind you, I'm gonna have one.
So it was it's a mystical weapon as it was described in the film, and subsequently, had great lineage to other battles in the past. And you really want to know. It's almost like a character in the film.
Yes.
And most of the weapons in fantasy films are somewhat of a character.
Correct.
You know, they do have lineage. They do have names. They do have all the things that you would attribute to a character.
Yeah.
But we never really got into the glaive. They never really talked about it.
The glaive would have been the key of the sequel.
You would hope, you know. And I was like, okay, if there's going to be a second movie, maybe we'll get more into the backstory of the weapon.
Yes.
You know, and maybe we'll get this and this and this. But then, as the movie ended and the way it ended, it was like, well, no, we're not going to get that story.
But the thing of it is, you have to think about it. He found it in lava. Who says somebody put it in there? It could have been the previous, the Red Fortress that 2,000 years ago was destroyed, was that volcano, and it died in the main villain.
Right.
Look at me making the prequel.
There you go. There you go.
I haven't thought of this much.
This guy can write. Okay, this guy can write. So
please, thank you. But so you're loving the movie.
Loving the movie.
I'm gonna toss this at you. Favorite actor, favorite character, favorite actor of the movie. Who's your favorite?
Oh my God.
Just
I like Weiner. He is the mentor. The old man, because you know I'm old.
You're going out to the little chops.
I got my get the little chops on there and everything. I like him because he represents the fact that people on that planet do age.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That they do have a full life.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're able to try and pass along that, which he was trying to do with Ken Marshall's character, the Prince.
He has an interesting story.
Yeah.
He is, because he ends up going to the Widow of the Web.
Widow of the Web,
and that's how they ultimately
and you find out they were together at one point. They had a relationship, a substantial relationship.
Yeah.
And you find out that they had a kid, you know, and it's all of this comes out, and it's like, oh my God.
And what was the fate of that child?
Well, God rest ye little gentlemen. Yes. So it was, you know, and it's tragic, and this is why the Widow of the Web is where she is in our story as it unfolds, right? Yes. So we get this huge backstory between these two characters, right? And because of his love still, we see her de-age to where he sees her as they were when they were both young.
Yes.
So she gets a very youthful look, a very beautiful woman that she was. And it's a very moving part of the story, at least if you're a romantic. And and I found it very precious. I found it probably the best part. Yeah, you know, the fights and all, yeah. But this was probably for me the meat and potatoes of the way that the final story was crafted together.
Yeah. No, I thought he's one of those characters that, I'm not saying like give me a whole movie, but that tale in just that scene gives me an idea of this guy was awesome at some time.
Oh yeah.
And made some hard choices.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. You know, the Warring Castles thing's very thing. Ken Marshall, Prince and Gallant, like all those things are present in there. The thieves are interesting. The
Nine Thieves.
Yeah, the Nine Thieves. Yeah. I mean, it was very Luke Skywalker, Han Solo. But again, I use that because Star Wars is the most popular version of that. But I really did. This is one of those movies where I look and go, there's something here that just needs to be tried again.
Yes. And it's it's such, there's a lot of fullness and richness and texture in this story.
Yes.
That never really comes to light. You get glimpses of it, you get shadows of it, but they just don't really reach in and pull it out. Either for budgetary reasons, for the fact that, you know, nowadays, you know, you get a 3-4 hour movie.
Yeah. Well, and then some of it too is, you know, like you said, there's a lot of changes. The director had never done a film like this before, nor did he ever do anything like this again. And I think that is kind of some of it. Is that, you know, you talk about studio involvement. It looks like this movie got some of that.
Yeah, they did. It was Columbia Pictures, actually, who brought this movie to process. And so when they got into the throes of it, like I mentioned earlier, the production process was very difficult. And there were a lot of reshooting and a lot of redoing of costumes and sets. And when you're talking about the size of Pinewood Studios and a sound stage that can hold a castle or the quicksand scene, you know, and you build all the trees and the swamp and it's, or the cave scene with the seer, you know, this is a lot of work and a lot of hours and a lot of union people having to get paid.
And it's, you know, it's in London, it's not America, so there's, you know, certain things that are probably going to be not as easy as they would be here, or, you know, because I've, you know, if you want to have, I don't know if you've ever done this, but if you want to see something interesting, watch the behind the scenes of making Aliens and listen to and hear about the challenges James Cameron had making a movie in London, because he made Aliens there, and he's coming off Terminator. He's an American filmmaker. His his producers are American, and they make him go to London to make the movie. And the battles he has, because London has different rules and different unions. So this is around the same time, within the 80s, is that what London has is they have a crew, a filmmaking crew that works for the studio, as in the physical building.
Sure.
So no matter what you do, whatever movie you make, whatever company you're using, the studio provides your crew.
Right.
So for him to go there, and like they would break for tea, they would break for lunch, and he got to the point where he basically told the tea people not to come back anymore, because they would just up and stop no matter what was going on. They'd be in the middle of a shot and they would stop and go do that.
Right.
So, you know, there is a challenge, because this is before he went in there and just wrecked shop.
Right.
But yeah, you have fun. Go watch the Aliens behind the scenes documentary, and it's, you talk about like a battle. Like they ended up firing their DP because he was fighting with James Cameron so bad.
Wow.
And they had to recast Hicks. Hicks was originally a different actor, and they had to get somebody else because that guy was part of this whole weird coup against James Cameron. So yeah, London versus America. Still happening. So, speaking of this movie, you love it, right?
I do love it,
yeah. Before we get into this, let me ask you this. You saw it in the theater.
Yes.
How many times did you see it after you saw it? Like you said, you owned the VHS, you watched it. How long? I mean, you watched it a lot after that, correct?
When I got the original owner's copy on VHS, I watched it a couple of times. And, you know, you put it on the shelf and you go about your business. When it became available in the DVD format, I bought it again, just to keep current, because it was, to me, as part of my own collection, I wanted to keep current with the film and everything. And then, of course, I now own it on the streaming service. So it was always something that I wanted to go back to. It's almost like that comfort food.
Yes.
Okay? So it's a reminder of a time. It's the story itself, even though it's cobbled together and everything like that, it's not a bad story.
No.
And there's a lot of romanticism in it with, like the wedding scene.
Yes.
Okay, the wedding scene is the hand binding scene, you know, which is the water and the elements of the fire, and so it has that quality that you go, oh, okay, yeah, you know, I can relate to something like that. That's something that strikes a chord with me. And there are a lot of things in that movie that does strike a very personal chord. And it's wonderful that we have it and that we can go to it just for entertainment or fun. It's not a movie that's going to drag you down. It's not a movie that's going to make you think a lot.
Yeah.
You know, it's just...
It's fun.
Yeah, it's just good fun.
Well, so you watched it for this.
Yes.
But How long has it been since you've watched it?
Oh God, it had been over 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and it's one of those things where I'm a videophile.
Yeah.
And I have like, God, at least 1,000 films on DVD and on Blu-ray, on VHS. And there are certain genres I'm passionate about and collect and you know, so, and this film was one of them that I collected. And I probably still have the VHS copy somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is something that stayed with me. Yeah. This is something that stuck with me. I couldn't really put my finger on anything other than it was just pure fun.
Yeah. Oh no, it is. And it was, I think before you brought it up, I think I've watched it, parts of it or some of it, within the last 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
But I think before then, it has to be like 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
Like I watched, because it was one of those, I think played on like when I was younger, a kid, preteen, teenager, it played on like, you know, TBS, it always played on those channels.
Sure.
So I'd watch it that way. I don't think I ever owned it. Mm-hmm. So, but then I think it was on Netflix for a while. Mm-hmm. Then it got taken off. So yeah, it was fun to revisit, and you know, totally worth the $4 I spent buying the movie.
Yeah, I mean these kind of films in the 80s that were kind of either just at breaking even or just below. Yeah, movies that were out but not very successful. Yeah, movies. Battle Amongst the Stars, I think, is another one. Yeah. Those movies, they're fun to watch. Yeah.
Well, this was also an age when the movie could recoup on VHS.
Well, this is where new revenue streams opened up because the technology was coming out to where it gave the opportunity of audience to purchase a copy of the film and not have to wait for TBS or USA or TNT or somebody to come along. And
it took a year or two for it to come out on VHS. It wasn't like now where the movie's out 3 months later. I can remember.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
like waiting years for Star Wars to be available.
Oh God, yeah. I have the original 3 movies, episodes 4, 5, and 6 on VHS. Okay, they're not the new version.
Yes.
This is the old version that we actually got in the theater. Yeah,
I have the despecialized editions.
Yeah, that's the term, right? Despecialized. Yes,
I have those.
Yeah,
high def, no. Anyway,
okay.
Krull. All right, so you love it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So now I made this. This has made everybody upset. Several people have had heart attacks, argued with me. Berated me for asking them to do this. So this is part of the challenge to you guys.
Okay.
I challenged you with this.
Okay.
I had to challenge it because you got to do this movie. I had to do a lot of movies. So what I thought would be something new to talk about is you're going to act like you're a producer.
Oh, okay.
And you have this script put on your desk, and you now have to pick a director and recast the movie. And that was the challenge. That was the homework.
That was the homework.
Yeah. That was the one thing I said, look, I'm going to surprise you with everything else, but you have to do this. This is your homework. Yeah. So that is what we're going to talk about now. Mm-hmm. So I want you, what we're going to do, we're going to go back and forth.
All right.
And then we will reveal our list to each other. And then in the comments, if you guys want to talk about who you thought was better, worse, the Facebook group will have it on there. We'll have a good time talking about it. I am dying to see if anything I don't think we're going to match anything.
No.
But I also, I'm looking forward to seeing if I match anybody on any of the films. Because it didn't dawn on me when I came up with this idea that you're going to have to do it and be mad, and I'm going to have to do it. And then I was like, oh, wait, I'm going to have to do this for every single movie people pick. So it's been interesting. But yours is first, because it was the first movie somebody picked. So, did you do your homework?
No. No, because I want to flush it out, and I'm just that way with everything, because I have my ideas, okay? And if you look at the daunting task of people coming into your producer's office and throwing down scripts at you, okay, and you sit there and say, okay, well, I want to redo this. Now, you get the synergy around the script, okay? And it looks like, okay, we are really going to go forward in doing this. Now you got to sit down and figure out, okay, I got the financing. Financing is there. Great. Now, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to interview directors first and foremost, right? So who am I going to look at? You know, we talked a little bit about it. I wanted to go with Guy Ritchie.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like his style. Okay. It's an action film, but Stephen Sommers is another one.
Yes.
From The Mummy.
The Mummy, yes.
Okay.
The first Mummy was great.
Yeah. And when I got to the action sequence, I'm back and forth, you know, between Guy and Stephen. And I'm going to say it right now. Stephen Sommers, are you available?
Okay.
Okay. Stephen Sommers,
your director.
Is my director.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Kenneth Branagh.
Interesting choice.
Thor. Thor is freaking Krull.
You know, I never thought of it. I really never thought of it.
I just had this moment in my mind. I was like, who would I pick to direct this? I was like, Kenneth Branagh. He's got the action. He's got the. I mean, you go back and watch all of his Shakespeare stuff.
Well, yeah.
And I'm like, he nailed it on Thor.
Yeah.
He created that sci-fi medieval world, which I thought this could be.
Yes.
What he did in Thor
right.
is what Krull could be.
Yes.
And that was why I was like, Kenneth.
Because you had both the Renaissance and the sci-fi.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was very well blended in the Thor features in the MCU.
So that was my pick for director.
All right. Good choice.
Thank you.
I've
done a lot of them.
Good choice.
I can't reveal any of them.
I was really centered on the action part of the script for Krull because it is a very high action film. Lead actor, your turn.
My turn? You want me to go first? Okay. I went back and forth a couple times, and the one I came up with was Dylan O'Brien. He was in the Maze Runner series, which I've never seen any of those movies, but he was in a movie called American Assassin. Oh, and I thought he did a really solid job, still looking youthful, but an adult.
Right.
So you could picture, because the thing with the age gap between the two actors, it's not super obvious in the movie.
It's not, no.
But
it plays.
But I also thought, like, to me, I felt like Colwyn could be younger.
He could,
mid to late 20s. And Ken Marshall plays that toward 30s look.
Right.
But maybe the beard ages him.
Yeah.
But I like Dylan O'Brien, like he had the physicality in that movie.
Sure.
But he was a good-looking kid.
Sure.
In shape. But also was able to kind of, you know, like you said before, Krull is not based on one guy. It's an ensemble. And I thought he would be strong enough to lead it, but then also have a lot of people with him to kind of play the other parts. So that's who I picked for Colwyn. Who did you pick?
Kit Harington.
Kit Harington from Game of Thrones.
From Game of Thrones.
Okay. No, okay. I've never seen any of it, so I can't judge it.
Because of his swordplay.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
It's because there is a lot of swordplay in Krull.
Yes.
And
because he never uses the glaive.
He never uses the glaive. It's always the sword, you know. So the look, the broodiness, I think he brings, the yearning to find and rescue his love. I think he could really draw that in.
Okay.
And I was very, very happy. And I mean, Kit, are you available?
Yeah. He may be. I don't know. I saw Seventh Son. He was really good.
I just watched that for the first
time.
On Netflix? Yes.
I got halfway through.
No. I watched it and, Jeff Bridges, God bless him, but,
fantastic actor. I'm not. Well, anyway. All right. So, who did you pick as Alyssa? Because I know that Lynette Edwards. Is that her name? What is her name?
Lisette Anthony.
I know you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all we need to say.
All right. Let me just down.
Hey, I don't blame you, beautiful girl.
I went with Rose, Kit's wife. She was in him. She was.
Hello.
She was in the Game of Thrones series with him.
Okay.
And they paired for a season and a half, and the two have really wonderful chemistry. Obviously, they're married.
Okay.
And she's a natural redhead, and I don't know why, but I
the redhead had to stay.
Yeah, you know, the redhead had to stay, and I was looking for hooks back to the original. Okay, and so since Lisette's character was a redhead, I kept the character redhead. Okay. And so that would be my choice.
Okay. So are we sticking all white? No. Then
I don't know. No.
I'm playing. Because this is the thing.
Okay, guys.
I would say this. I know that in today's era, today's time, we get into a lot of this give other ethnicities a chance. I'm not against it. But I'm also not going to force it. That being said, I had fun.
Sure.
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And because I did have this moment of going like, technically they're from different kingdoms. They don't necessarily both have to be the same.
No,
they really don't.
No,
you
really don't.
So,
and I did play with a few black actresses and a few Asian actresses.
Yeah.
You know, to kind of fill that gap a little bit. I even played with making some type of alien facial Star Trek thing going. You know.
Well, see, and that's the thing too is you never with today's time you never know. Maybe they'd go that route.
Yeah.
But all I have to say, I picked Jessica Parker Kennedy to be Lisette. From
Interesting
Black
choice.
Sails.
Yeah.
She was the Flash's daughter in the season of Flash.
Right.
She was actually in Smallville. She
Yeah.
played I forgot her name, does all the bombs in one of the couple episodes of the Smallville.
Right.
That's who I picked for Lisette, just to kind of give it a different turn. But, you know, and I thought that would be
yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Get in there, have fun. So, all right, who's your mentor?
Oh yeah, why not? Well, we kidded and laughed. I told it would be me, but but no. I believe it or not, I went with Idris Elba.
Idris Elba. Okay, nice.
Because in his Thor series, he seemed you know, that he could carry someone with age and someone with wisdom and mysticism.
Have you seen Luther?
No, I haven't seen the Luther series.
You should watch Luther. I've watched the first 3 seasons. Really good show.
Yeah.
I went Kurt Russell.
Yeah. Okay.
Because him as Ego in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, he's getting to that point where he can be the mentor. So I don't know why, like Kurt Russell just popped in my head as like, you know.
It's funny when you say that. It was like the Santa Claus Chronicles, you know.
Yeah.
And his Elvis, and since he played Elvis a couple of times in a few movies, and it was, I mean, Kurt Russell's a good choice.
You know what Ynir says at a time like this? He says, "What the hell?" And here comes Goldwyn. All right, Torquil was the leader of the thieves.
That was played by Alan Armstrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
who went on with Stephen Summers in the Mummy series?
Mummy series. He also was in The Saint.
Yes.
He was the head investigator chasing him.
Yeah. He does a lot of those cop shows, by the way.
Yeah. He's done a lot of that stuff. I thought he was great.
Yeah.
In that. So who'd you pick?
I would pick him again.
Did you keep him?
Yeah.
You kept him? You cheater.
No. He's the way he plays the role of I'll take these off when we're free, because he's talking about his shackles, right? And the prince is the only one that has the key to the shackles, you know. And he feels like he has to earn his freedom and not be just given it to him. Yeah. Okay. I liked his character. I mean, I didn't want to mess with that. And to me, that is a nice hook back into the original series. Because nowhere does it say that he has to be young.
Yes. No,
right?
I agree. Yeah.
So
okay. I picked, probably pronouncing his name wrong, Simu Liu, who is in Kim's Convenience. And his big thing right now is he is cast as Shang-Chi in Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings MCU movie. He is...
Which is not out yet, by the way.
It may not ever come out.
It may not ever come out, yeah.
But it was... when I heard he was cast, Shang-Chi's one of these characters I've always kind of liked, but like they've never really done him right in the comics.
Right.
And when I heard he was cast, I went back and watched Kim's Convenience. Mm-hmm. It's like a sitcom. And he's just so good at it. So when I thought about like somebody who could kind of be this warrior, have some, because, have like a lot of charisma, have some fun with it. His name popped up, and his name is going to pop up a lot later because I picked him for some other things. I just thought he was a cool guy, so there we go. Who else did you cast?
I didn't cast too deep into the show. I wanted to keep everything light and easy. The widow.
Yes.
I picked Jamie Lee Curtis. Okay.
Yes, because you accidentally told me.
Yes, I accidentally. Yeah, I wasn't supposed to. Yeah. Mainly because I think she has such range as an actress.
Yes.
And she is amazing in everything that I've seen her do.
Yes.
From horror to comedy to, well, I just saw her in Knives Out.
Yeah, she's very good in Knives Out.
She's really, really good. And the fact that and then she circled back and did the Halloween series again. So, and I think, growing up with her and, because we're about the same age and we're contemporaries in the sense of two people in a stream of time. Yeah. And it was just like, I can see her playing that. She was the first thing that I thought of. Yeah. And go with your gut, as they say.
I'm there with you, man. I fired these things out. Like,
did you? Okay.
I literally a lot of them.
I try to give it some, good, nice, deep thought about a few things and what I wanted to see.
Yeah. Well, and this was the character that I recast twice. Really? I picked somebody. I think so I picked somebody because I was like, oh well, because I picked an actress before I watched the movie.
Right.
And I remember her being an older woman but beautiful.
Right.
So I picked, originally it was Helen Mirren. And then I went back and watched the movie and had forgotten that she goes back to being
beautiful,
younger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So then I was like, okay, so what I need to find is somebody who looks like a woman, because the woman who she becomes when she's younger is still elegant, but not a kid. Right. Not like Lisette.
Right.
Lynette.
Right.
Lisa. Whatever her name. Lisa. Her character
Lisette,
name. Lisette, is very young.
Right.
Like early 20s looking,
right.
Even though she's even younger than that. So they want, like, for the Widow of the Web, it was a woman.
Right.
So I picked, going with elegance and beauty, I picked Julie Bowen from Modern Family.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one who's the blonde daughter.
Yeah.
I picked her because there's just like, as funny as she is, seeing her in other things, she's just like an elegant, attractive woman, and but not a kid.
Right.
Right. So I thought that would be perfect for that. And that's why I cast was her.
Yeah. Jamie Lee and Idris really appealed to me in my head when I think of the two actors. Could they have been lovers, and could they have, the whole story arc between those two characters. Yeah. And it was very powerful to me. Very cinematically powerful as well, and just visuals. Yeah. That the two of them were very, very
well, because I kept thinking, like, nowadays with the de-aging they can do.
Yeah.
Could I just go ahead and use Helen Mirren? But I was like, no, that's not the point. The point is not that she is an 8-year-old.
Helen is gorgeous.
Yeah, I'm not knocking her, but the point is that she is a 40-ish woman trapped now into the 60s, 70s, whatever, and that he's able to eliminate this punishment she's put on herself and bring her back to being the woman she was. Mm-hmm. And that's why in my mind I was like, the actual character is 40-ish.
You're right.
Even though I think Julie Bowen's a little older than that. But that's who I picked for. Who else did you cast? Anybody else?
No, I the cast of Nine Thieves and everything. It could be anybody.
You cast the Beast?
Yes, I did cast the Beast.
Who'd you cast? I
casted what's his name? McKellen. Ian McKellen.
Ian McKellen's the Beast?
Yeah.
Nice.
The voice is very, very... I couldn't use... my original thought was Sean Connery.
He ain't come back for nothing.
No. I'm so out of it sometimes. I recently read that he's having some health issues.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He's not young.
But around his throat and everything. Yeah. So he wouldn't be able to voice anything. But I was looking for a very distinctive voice, and an aged voice, and someone even and yes, Patrick Stewart could be another one. Yeah.
I like Ian McKellen. That's interesting.
Yeah. I thought about getting Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Another hook back.
Yeah, go back.
Go back.
Do a meta. No, I did. Because I did the Beast as well. I did Lee Pace.
Nice.
Who played Ronan in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, he's got that voice that's kind of real deep, distinguished, different.
Right.
Can be that villain. He's got the acting chops. Because all you would really have, I mean, because that's one of those characters where I think they shorted in this movie.
They did. And it was, it was very disturbing in the sense that he was always in the shadows, and when they did get him in the light, it was such a way in a lens that it just distorted the view. So you never really got a clear view of him. I mean, you do eventually get to see most of him.
Well, because he's trying to seduce the Lisette the whole time,
and that's and that's really, really powerful.
Yeah,
and you got to have a voice that can carry and seduce not only the character of Lisette, but the audience.
Yeah,
you want to feel that draw,
and you want to see them interact.
You do,
but you don't get it at all.
Yeah,
very, very brief thing that's kind of warped. Yeah, so that's why I was like, cast an actor who can do it.
Right.
And I don't know why that popped in my head.
No. But Ian McKellen was the first one, and I kind of wandered off with Liam Neeson and a few others. But it was. I kept circling back.
Yeah.
To him.
No, I think that's perfect.
Yeah. So
well, there we go.
I say let's make this movie.
Who's cast? Who's director? You guys say.
Absolutely.
Who do you think? Like, now that you've heard my list and your list, you
it'll
still
probably be everybody else.
Yeah.
Or what is it? Krull, the teenage years. Everything seems to be going to the.
It'll be a streaming series.
Yeah.
A prequel.
And that's not a bad idea.
With Veneers.
Netflix, are you listening?
Call us. We're
willing and ready to go.
We want to be internet famous. But anyway, okay, so that is that. We have our reboots. You guys, we would love to hear your comments. Comment below in the Facebook group. We'll get to that in a second. So I have a couple quick fire questions I'm going to ask you.
All right.
Some of them have to do with this movie. Some of them don't.
Uh-huh.
So it's, kind of. Okay, so my question to you is this. My first question is, to pick a movie for this podcast or for the show, you had to stay within a scope of fanboyish stuff.
Right.
So besides this movie, what is your favorite movie of all time?
Oh, God. The Ten Commandments with Chuck Heston and Yul Brynner.
Okay.
I actually saw that movie in 1972 in Okinawa, Japan.
Oh, wow.
In a movie theater that was so sold out that we were sitting in the aisles at Naha Air Base. Naval Station down there. And to see that movie in Technicolor on 30-foot screen.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, it was just, and I was like 11, 12, and this movie blew me away. Okay, I mean, just literally, and I know the movie came out in 1956.
Yeah,
but it's my go-to movie every Easter, and I know like it's shown on television and everything, and it's always cut for content and time and everything like that, but I have the special edition DVD, and it's got everybody that I feel that were super actors of the day. I mean, you've got Vincent Price, Edward G. Robinson, you've got all these people. Dame Judith Anderson is in it, who plays a servant.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's just so beautifully written, beautifully shot. The Edith Head stuff is just fantastic for costumes and makeup, and everything is just like it's like watching a Renaissance picture come to life, and you're just mesmerized by this film. It just draws you in, and even though you know the biblical story, it's just like,
I have never seen that movie in my adulthood.
Really?
I saw it. My parents liked it. I think I watched parts of it when I was a kid.
Really?
I've never seen it. But Ben-Hur is one of my top 10.
Yeah.
I love Ben-Hur.
Ben-Hur is in my top 10.
So,
Stephen Boyd. Oh, yeah. The spear scene.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, continuing on with Krull.
Okay.
So Krull was your pick. Was there any other movies like you thought about picking for the show?
I had several. Metropolis was one of them.
Okay.
Okay. It's a silent film, I know.
Yes.
Okay. But it still stands up.
Okay.
In my viewpoint. Okay.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
Oh, it's and then
you challenged me, sir. Now I have 2 movies I have to check out.
Yeah. And the other one was Nosferatu. Okay.
Yeah.
Only because that movie scared the pee-roni out of me. Okay. The makeup.
Yeah.
Just on that vampire alone gave me nightmares. Just
now
any shadow that would come across the window. You know, I had him, you know, coming out of the coffin. And it was just like, this movie. Horrifying.
Now, have you seen the Willem Dafoe movie?
No, I haven't.
It's about making that movie?
No.
I've seen that movie.
You've seen that
That
movie.
one's creepy and weird.
Yeah. No.
But so is Willem Dafoe.
Yes. And John Malkovich was in that one.
Yes. I believe so. Yeah.
So, I've heard of that movie. I've seen bits and pieces like you that you know that you do sometimes, but I haven't seen the whole film.
Okay.
Is it called The Making of Nosferatu? Or
I can't remember.
Yeah,
We'll have to look it up. We'll look it up later. Or if somebody comment below what it is, and we'll have to see. So yeah. No.
Now, what about you? What are your choices? What was choice 2 or choice 3? If you were put around and said, okay, Matthew, what would you like to talk about?
We're not interviewing me today, sir. We're interviewing you. I will tell you briefly that I have 3 movies I want to do. And we talked about one earlier.
Okay.
And then the other one is The Shadow.
Really?
I love The Shadow. I unabashedly love The Shadow.
I love the radio serials.
Yeah.
You know? And The Shadow itself, it's not bad. I really do enjoy the mysticism behind it.
It's cheesy as get out, but I love it.
Yeah. And, yeah.
You know what I would love to do? I would love to watch that movie now with who Alec Baldwin is now. And just let him have fun and be there with him having... I don't know if you've listened to him on podcasts or seen him on like comedians drinking coffee.
No.
He's just so like done with it all and having fun. So that would be an interesting dream of mine, would to be watch The Shadow with Alec Baldwin and listen to him rip the movie apart.
Oh God.
It would be a blast.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. So favorite actor.
That is a tough one because there's so many of them out there. Favorite actor today or any day? Any day.
Either way, however you want to answer it.
Cary Grant.
Okay. Staying within the scope of what we're talking about, sci-fi and all that.
Okay.
What do you think is the most overrated movie within the confines of fanboydom? That you go like, that movie's not. And I mean, it doesn't matter what you pick, but like if there's something that people like, and you're like, no, I'm sorry.
I don't know if this fits or not, but Starship Troopers.
That's fine. Yeah.
I literally walked out of that movie. It's the only movie in my entire life I walked out of. And it gets this rap, and I'm sorry for anybody out there who loves the series of movies and everything, but it came along during a time I did a show, worked closely with an Auschwitz survivor. Mm-hmm. I did a bio play with this person, and then turned around, went on a cruise, my only cruise of my entire life, and one of my table mates was the widow of General Mark Clark, who knew a lot of the generals of the day during World War II. So, you know, I had this bookend of experiences with the camps and everything, and then with the American side as well, and who knew George Patton and everything. And Patton was the one who got them there because General Clark had an accident, a polo accident, that broke his eye socket.
Okay.
and so he couldn't go to war, but he went to the attaché for diplomats and ended up with Evita down in Argentina. And so we got stories about her. And to touch that piece of history. And so it was very prominent on my mind when I went to go see Starship Troopers, which was somewhat of a Nazi propaganda film.
Yes, and I see. Yeah, people,
And when I got to that point, it was like I can't. I'm out.
I understand.
And so I punched the eject button and off I went. I couldn't support it. It took me years to get back to it, to sit down and I eventually did watch it, by the way. I watched it, and I got through like the second film.
Yeah.
But when we got to like Starship Troopers 6,
I've never watched any of the sequels. The only thing I've ever watched is the show, the cartoon, which is really good. Mm-hmm. But it was more based on the book.
Right.
With the aliens that were working with the people. But no, I think the first time I watched that movie, I was like, I'm not sure. And then I watched it a second time, and I was like, oh, this is just a ridiculously B-level horrible action movie. Okay, still doesn't make a lick of sense. I don't know if I don't think I've watched that movie in 20 years. Like, it didn't hook me enough. I think I've watched it 2 or 3 times, and I haven't revisited it.
It was, it had a lot of the young actors of the day in it, you know, which was really, really great, to see them work. But the overall theme of the movie, and I guess it goes back to that time period of my life where I was bookended by seemingly World War II, that I had such a bad negative reaction to it in the movie theater.
I understand.
It took me a long time to come back to it and to give it its own merit, to give it its own legs to stand on and let it run, but that one would be, I don't understand how it got so big and so much legs and length, and I don't see it.
All right. Within the scope of the genres that we're talking about, what do you think is the most underrated movie?
Oh God, underrated. I would have to say Time Machine. The original Time Machine. Okay. Mainly because I really loved the story. I love the book.
Yeah.
Okay. I really love the book. But I felt that it definitely did not get its due.
Yeah.
Okay. It was just beautifully done.
Yeah.
And I love the Victorian work and all the sets, and the time machine itself is iconic.
Yeah.
And I'd have to say the Time Machine.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can go off and say, When Worlds Collide, and the original War of the Worlds. And, those were movies that I love to watch every Halloween, and I own these movies. So I'm a huge B-movie fan, and the Thing from Another World is another one, with James Arness before he was Matt Dillon, playing the monster. And but it was, those movies were simple, they were easy, and as a child growing up, when you see them secondhand on TV at the time, and they scare you because they're, number one, they're black and white, and number two is like they always have that theme of there's evil in the world, and the only way to defeat evil is to have a few good men, and sometimes a few good women and men, to take it on. Or, like in the case of War of the Worlds, a few good microbes.
Yeah, exactly. All right, last question. Yeah. This is the doozy. We're going to open up to all of moviedom.
Oh, wow. One. Okay.
Is there a role that you would love to play yourself?
Myself?
Yeah, and take out context. I'm trying to think about how to word this. Take out age limited physicality, whatever. Is there a movie where you're just like, I would love that role just to do it, no matter what I'm saying? Like if you're in your mind, if you're like, well, I want to be Colwyn. Don't think about yourself now, at the age appropriate, whatever, however you want to do it. But is there a role that you just sit there going like,
yeah, there's a role that I wish I could have played in real light. That became a movie. That for the life of me, I don't understand why they casted him. But it would be the Phantom in Phantom of the Opera.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
You don't like Gerard Butler as
Leonidas
himself?
Yeah.
Tonight we sing in the opera.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, I grew up listening to Michael Crawford. You know, who unfortunately has probably the worst association of any bad superhero film.
Yeah.
Even though I loved it, it's a Disney movie.
Yeah.
You know, Condor Man. Anybody? Condor Man.
Yes.
Okay.
With the cool his car. How's Condor Man?
Yes.
But he finally unfolds the wings and jumps off the building.
Yes,
yes, do it. See,
yes,
it's deep, bro.
But it's deep. But at the same time, having a frame of reference for Michael Crawford in that film, and then hearing him sing on Broadway.
Yes.
It was such a whoa moment. Yeah. Okay. And that was my first attraction to the work of Andrew Lloyd Webber. And I actually got a chance to see that performed in Dallas.
Okay.
And I came out of that theater going, yes, that's what I want to do, you know. And I actually got a chance to sing it for a gig.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is that anywhere that we can check out?
No, I don't think so.
It needs to be. Does anybody who knows Mark Daratt over the years have a video
no,
of this performance
that
they can put on YouTube?
No. Please don't. No. But
it's out there, isn't it?
No, I have no idea. But I did get a chance to sing it. We had a young lady who played Christine, and we did it at a party. It wasn't a formal performance of anything. We just did highlights of Hamlet, you know.
Sure.
And but that was as close as I got to the dream role.
Interesting.
And
okay.
But yeah, the depth of emotional breakage.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm a meats and potato guy when I act.
Nothing wrong with that. Some people can't act at all, and they get stuck acting opposite you, and then they don't stick the night before.
Yeah, well,
that's awesome. Phantom of the Opera is your dream.
Phantom of the Opera is my dream role. Yeah.
See, when you first said Phantom, I was like, that Billy Zane movie?
No. I'm talking about the real Phantom.
Because we can make that happen, sir. I'll get you that outfit.
Yeah. God.
Okay. All right.
Not the silent film one either, you know.
Perfect. All right. Mark, this has been awesome.
Oh, thanks, buddy, for having me on.
Thank you for doing this. I think this is gonna be a good episode. Krull, if you guys
see it,
yes,
live it, love it. You'll enjoy it. It's fun.
Yes,
it's just pure fun.
I love it. Thank you again for doing this. Appreciate it.
Hey, anytime.
Screw social distancing. Anyway, thank you. We will see you guys next time. Bye bye.